What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got Shakur Stevenson in the news. Shockingly, I think this caught everybody by surprise. Shakur Stevenson has left Matchroom after one fight, and they were supposed to have a 2-fight deal. Shakur Stevenson said, "Nah, I'm straight with that." All right. So let's go ahead and get into the article. I'm gonna definitely drop my opinion, and then we'll go from there. Okay. And make sure you stay tuned because I'm gonna give you my reasonings for. I'm gonna give you the pros and cons of Shakur leaving Matchroom and the reasons behind it or whatnot. And then we'll go ahead and talk about it. All right. I'm gonna give y'all the inside. All right, so shout out to Boxing News 24 says Shakur Stevenson shocks boxing world, dumps Matchroom after one fight, signs a new deal ahead of Zapata defense in New York City. It says Shakur Stevenson has reportedly opted out of his second fight of his 2-fight contract with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom and will be working with promoter Lou DiBella for his title defense of his WBC lightweight strap against William Zapata on the July 12th card in New York City. Flat fee deal. Stevenson signed with Hearn in 2024 and fought just one, stopping the electrician. They love throwing that in there. The electrician Josh Padley in the 9th round on February 22nd in Riyadh. Hearn had wanted to schedule a fight for Shakur against Joe Cordina last October, but he suffered a hand injury while training. Dan Raphael reports that Shakur, who is 23-0 with 11 knockouts, has hired DiBella on a flat fee for the Zapata, who is 33-0 with 27 knockouts fights. That will make him much less than a promoter. That will make much less than a promoter had him under contract. So basically, he's saying that he'll be paying less to have DiBella promote him rather than Eddie Hearn or whatnot. He'll be a free agent after that. He says Stevenson is getting a mid-7-figure payday for the Zapata fight. So Shakur will get a payday between $4 and $7 million for the Zapata fight. It'll be less expensive for Shakur with DiBella than it would be if he were still under the contract of Eddie Hearn. Some fans on social media view Stevenson's decision to leave Hearn as an act of ingratitude and betrayal. After all, he helped get his name out there by praising him in interviews, and he'd given him an easy fight against Padley rather than a dangerous one against Cuban knockout artist Jadir Herrera on the February 22nd card. Well, I don't know. So let me briefly talk about that. He didn't give him an easy fight. I mean, he did find a fight for him, and shout out to Eddie Hearn for that. But initially, he was supposed to fight Floyd Schofield. I don't think that would have been an easy fight. So but he was able to find that, granted. And then I'm gonna also say this here just to go. Matchroom didn't help boost Shakur Stevenson, no more, or he's not like, he didn't go to Matchroom and become any bigger of a star than he was when he left Top Rank, just being honest. And I'm not saying that to throw shade at Matchroom. I'm just being honest. Like, Shakur's star power is still the same. It's not like, Shakur went to Matchroom and they did what Golden Boy did for Canelo Alvarez. If y'all don't know, I think Canelo Alvarez was signed with like Rising Star or something like that, and then when he got with Golden Boy, he catapulted himself, or not he, but Golden Boy catapulted Canelo's career and made him into the star he was. I don't think that Matchroom, they didn't, not that they really had time. And that's no knock on Matchroom because they only worked with him for one fight. But I'm just saying, I don't think that they just did that much for Shakur's career to just say that, they just, wow, he's, like it's betrayal or anything like that. But anyways, let me see. The Cuban knockout. Hearn could have thrown Shakur in there with Herrera, and he would have had to run from the 22-year-old because he has one-punch knockout power. Okay, well, again, does he have one-punch knockout power on that level of Shakur? You guys be writing these dumb articles and be saying dumb stuff. But anyways, it reported on July 12th card, Shakur Zapata, a source with knowledge of specifics, told me Shakur split from Matchroom and his manager James Prince has hired Lou DiBella as his promoter for the event. I thought he said he split from his manager James Prince. I'm like, whoa. He had a 2-fight deal with Matchroom. did one, apparently either side could opt out after the first. He was hardly in a long-term deal, so he had the right to opt out, you know. So anyways, it might not be such a great loss for Hearn. Look at the bright side. He's rid of a fighter that fans viewed as an I'm not gonna read all that. Shakur. Okay, look at this. Shakur can't fight the way Tevin Farmer did against Zepeda because he lacks the size and the power and the toughness to deal with that kind of pressure. Now I'm gonna debunk this right now, right? Okay, so check this out, right? I'm just listen how dumb these people are that they just be hating. You could just tell when writers just be hating. It says Shakur can't fight the way Tevin Farmer did because against Zepeda because he lacks the size, right? He lacks the size, but Shakur is the bigger fighter. Tevin Farmer is a 130-pound fighter. Shakur is a 135-pound fighter. He's the bigger fighter. He says he lacks the power. Tevin Farmer out of 30-something fights only has like 7 knockouts. Are we serious here, bro? And then it says he lacks the toughness. I don't know. That's to be announced. But however, I always feel like Shakur is like a better version. Shakur is a much better version of Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer wouldn't. I don't even think Tevin Farmer would win a round against Shakur. And I'm just being honest. It might be a boring fight, but I don't see him winning a round against Shakur. So like, come on, bro. Like people just be saying some dumb stuff. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, so listen, let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and give you some game real quick, man. Shakur leaving Matchroom, and going to DeBella. Now, first and foremost, I must say, and this is no shade to DeBella, but I didn't even know DeBella was even still promoting anymore. I know he was working with Jermaine, and I believe he was working with Andre Berto at one particular moment as well. But I know for a fact he was working with Jermaine. I believe he also was working with Sergio Martinez. I know he was doing business with like Deontay Wilder in the PBC heavy at one point, but I didn't even know DeBella was still promoting like that, to be honest. So you know, take my hats off to him. But listen, here's the thing about it, right? Shakur could be taking his career into his hands, right? Now this is the pros of doing what he's doing, right? Shakur going with Lou DeBella could possibly open up a lot of opportunities for him, because DeBella, when you don't have these big time promotions, the thing about working with these big time promoters like Matchroom, like Golden Boy, like Top Rank, like PBC, even though PBC is not a promotional company, we know what it is, but a lot of them like to keep fights in-house, and egos come into play when trying to make fights quote unquote across the street, right? Like with PBC and Top Rank or Golden Boy and just Top Rank, how they had their Cold War and all this type of stuff. Like a lot of times, like those big name promotional companies, you got to run into stuff like that, right? Whereas Shakur working with Lou DeBella, who's pretty much cool with, he pretty much he's not tied down to a network or anything. That could open doors to make big fights, right? That could possibly open doors to get him fights with, make it easier. And as you guys saw, just heard, it's costing him less money to work with Lou DeBella in this situation over a top promoter like Eddie Hearn, right? So the pros is that possibly you're able to work with different promoters, right? You're able to work with different promoters, and also you're not paying as much, right? Shakur doesn't have to pay as much money to keep someone like Lou DeBella around. Now, I don't know if he's gonna be with Lou DeBella for like an extremely long time or anything like that, which I doubt. Might be a fight by fight basis, like how Mikey Garcia was with PBC. It could just be by case basis, or but I do understand, like, that's some of the pros of having a less known promoter or something like that. Now, here's the con to that, right? The con to doing what Shakur is doing is, which essentially what was Terrence Crawford was kind of doing the same thing as well, taking his career into his own hands or whatnot. The con to that is who was gonna really want to put a top fighter against somebody like Shakur, because Shakur is a high risk, low reward type of fighter. Now it'd be one thing if Shakur was like Canelo Alvarez or like Tank Davis, where you're guaranteed to to make solid money off of that, right? It's a win in that situation. Boxing is a business, so it's like if anybody knows business, when you do business with somebody, it's like it has to be something in it for everybody, right? So in a case with Shakur, because he's such a high risk, low reward type fighter, let's just say, for example, you have a Tank Davis or I'm just using these names as examples, but like a Tank Davis or any other top fighter like Golden Boy has. Let's say Golden Boy has Ryan Garcia possibly, and Shakur says, hey, him and DeBella come, hey, we're interested in making a fight with Ryan Garcia, and Golden Boy then says, okay, cool, but and this has happened before. I'm giving y'all true game on this stuff, so y'all pay attention. In the contract, Golden Boy, De La Hoya might put it to where it's like, all right, if you beat my fighter, I get to promote 2 of your fights. Because if you beat my fighter, what do I get out of it? You're not with me, and then I got to build my fighter back up. So it's a total loss for Golden Boy, right? That's the type of stuff that goes on in boxing. So it's going to be very, very hard for Shakur to get those fights if he chooses to go this route, because of the fact that Shakur is a very, very, very good fighter. However, he brings not that much to the table aside from his belt, and that's because he has a belt, he'll always have a fight, but he'll always be able to fight. But as far as getting those top fights, that's going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see where Shakur goes from this. He could go back to Matchroom. I don't know. Maybe he's, I'm pretty sure it's people that are working with him. He, working with DeBella, that could lead to him, possibly working with PBC, seeing how DeBella has a really good relationship with Al Heyman, or had one at least. I don't know. I haven't seen DeBella work with PBC in a long time. But then again, I haven't seen DeBella work with really pretty much anybody for a long time. So, I don't know. It could work out. We just have to see. You know what I'm saying? We just have to see, man. But I'm very interested to see where Shakur goes from here, because this was definitely a shocker. However, whatever he does, man, I hope it works out for the best. I mean, bro's finna get paid. You heard in between $4 to $7 million in it, so he's gonna walk away with a pretty bag after fighting Zepeda, and hopefully he wins. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just see how that works out, man. He better be careful going against Turkey though. You on this card, Turkey looks out for his people. So ask what's his name, Carlos Adames. Ask him that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?